Going on, people? Naturallyicethis here on a Tuesday night video, and I want to talk a little bit about Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon is how can a man today be the total opposite of what he used to be not all that long ago? Really, you go back 15, 16 years, Vince McMahon was the most devious, most outspoken. I mean, he cheated. He lied. He stole titles away. He took after the late Eddie Guerrero back then. But how can a man do a full turnaround and whine and cry because he saw blood in Hell in a Cell match? Now, let's face it. When there's a Hell in a Cell match, you expect people to get busted open. That's the bottom line. And if you don't think they should, don't have a Hell in a Cell match, because it's unrealistic to have these kind of matches and not have somebody get cut open. I understand it ain't the same as it used to be back in the older days, back in the NWA cage match days where you had two blonde-haired superstars like Dusty Rhodes or Ric Flair. And when you knew damn well they got into a cage, you knew damn well when they left, their blonde hair was going to be colored red, the color of blood. But nowadays, a Hell in a Cell match, if no one gets bloodied up a bit, no need to even be in a cage, because it just wouldn't make any friggin' sense at all. So there you get Vince all upset because both men, Undertaker and Lesnar, get cut up. Then he gets even more furious for the fact that he sends the doctors in to clean up the blood. Yeah, I can understand that, because nowadays diseases can be transmitted throughout cuts, wounds, bleeding, and whatnot. So you send the doctor out there, and plus the fact it's PG for the piddly ass little kids, you got to wipe the faces clean. But Vince gets pissed off because Lesnar tossed the doctor aside. Well, my opinion, Lesnar did the right thing, because you send somebody in there to sort of slow down the momentum of the match. Lesnar had every friggin' right to be upset. They had a good match going, and then a doctor tries to slow it down, and it takes away the whole momentum. And then you got to kickstart it back all over again. So I had no problems with what Lesnar did, and neither should you, Vince McMahon, because let's face it, you have done far worse inside that wrestling ring than either one of these two guys ever have. You want PG, Vince McMahon? You own the company. You have the right. But then get rid of the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Get rid of the Hell in a Cell concept. Hell, pretty soon you'll be getting rid of TLC, because you're going to say too many people might get hurt going through a table, or getting hit by a ladder, or getting hit with the chair shots. You take away the things that appeal the most to a wrestling fan, and what have you got? A prime time normal TV show. Get over it, Vince. And Triple H, he's not much better, because here's the thing. When Triple H was in the ring, go back to the early 2000s, it seemed like every time you turned around, Triple H was bloodied. He was bleeding all the time. And that's when they were doing the blading. At least at Hell in a Cell, there was no blading. It was actual, brutal, physical punches, forearms, head smashes to the cage wall that created the cuts. But I will guarantee this, if Triple H was still in the ring today, full time, I'll guarantee you, if he was in a Hell in a Cell cage match, Triple H would bleed again as well. That's where Triple H is a hypocrite. Vince McMahon, you're a hypocrite. Why don't you just not have wrestling involved in your show at all, Vince? Because wrestling is a contact entertainment sport. People are going to get hurt. People are going to get busted open, even if it's not intended. And that's how it should be. Being physical, being aggressive, attacking all the time. Enough. Everybody says it's not the PG rating, and I can agree with that in some levels. It is the creative team and the booking. You write a good show, you can have a good show without the actual brutal violence. And if that's the case, and you know this, then where is the good writing? Where is the good creativity? Where is it? If you know this already, then why don't you rectify the fact? The reason being, you can whine and cry and complain about your ratings, but the bottom line is you do nothing to fix it. I don't believe in ratings myself. I could care less. You'll never see an 8 rating in the world wrestling entertainment business ever again. Only because they don't have to become any better than what they are, because they have no competition to push them that far. That's the bottom line. So when you tune into a wrestling show, just get your mindset and say to yourself, it's going to be a PG rated show, and just take it for what it is. Because if you go in there with real high expectations, you know you're not going to get what you're looking for. And everybody knows this when they tune in. They just want to hear themselves bitch. With all that being said, Iceman's return, Iceman V2013. Sooner or later, Naturallyicethis is going to phase you two out the friggin' door. We'll wait and see. Have a lousy night, everybody.